this is some sort of funny thing I've noticed with some artists, predominantly of the hip hop and R&B genre, most males, and it's a thing about hair. Now, for most people, for most guys, hair isn't a really important thing, but for some of those who are in the hip hop and R&B genre, who are some of them are still around, those who have their hair and keep their hair, maintain it and grow it or whatever, and have commercial success during that time, have the opposite when they cut their hair off. I'll give the example, Ludacris. Ludacris, Chris Bridges, a rapper, still around. He was really, really big with his hair, and the hair was big as well. I remember some videos when he would record and he would just have the massive afro like that, like Sound Hospitality, Stand Up, Splash All the Fools, personal favourite of mine, and then he would have these hairstyles where it would just emphasize the growth, the mass of hair that he possessed on his head, and then around 2006, he cut it off. Release Therapy was released. That was his next album. And his sales just went down a little. They just went down until they had settled on the low of average, less than average. Let's take singles, for example. Runaway Love, that was number 2. Then there was the next one, Slap, beneath the chart in Billboard 100. By the way, I mentioned the Hot 100 charts, just to be clear. Then he had his next album, Theatre of the Mind, and the average position was like One More Drink was 25 or something, and I can't remember the next one, and it would just be very mediocre chart positions from then on. How Low went to number 6, I think. That was it from his next album, Battle of the Sexes. He's got another one, Ludiversal, coming out soon, I think. Wouldn't make a difference to his sales, though. He's not going to have a major comeback until that hair grows again. Or maybe that's a silly idea, to have your hair, cut it off, and grow back again. I've not seen an artist do it as of late. Another example is Trey Songz. Trey Songz has said on his video blog, on the one where he cuts his hair off, I took some time to see it. Now, he cut his hair, we had his hair grown since around 14 years old, or 14 years ago, I can't remember which one of the two things it was, but it was a bloody long time. And then he cut his hair off in around 2009, I think. Now, after that, with his album ready and all those other ones afterwards, he would have one single which would be a hit. Like, say was a hit in 2009, a little bit of 2010. Then he had I Invented Sex, silly title for a song, unless you're R. Kelly. Went at number 43, not good. And then that will repeat itself, that idea will repeat itself again, bottoms up, number 6, with his current album, Passion, Pain, Pleasure, or something like that. And then his next song, Can't Be Friends, it's still charting now, but it's top at number 43. That's its peak. Again, really weird. Another example is Omarion. Now, he's an interesting example because, well, a little bit interesting because we didn't think he would cut his hair until he did. Now, through B2K, he had moderate success. On his own, he had a hit, Icebox, produced by Timbaland. It was number 12. But the album sounded pretty decent. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as you would think an ex-group member would make it to be, if that sounds correct. Then there was Evolution or something like that. And he cut all his hair off and he hasn't charted since. The last time I saw him on the top 40 of the charts was with that song Girlfriend with Bow Wow. And that was number 33. Since we're on Bow Wow, he had a lot of it. He had the whole Cane Rose thing. He had that whole the whole phenomenon about him because he was a teenager and happened to be a guy who got a record deal and could rap. Well, he could rap this material that was written for him. That's what I believe. Beware of Dog Unleashed were made of anyway. Written material. That was not of his pen. He cuts his hair in, I believe, 2005. That's when he cuts his hair. And then again, it's always actually, you know what? I think in 2005 he did have a sort of decline. He was having a bit of a comeback with Like You, that duet of Ciara, and Shorty Like Mine on the next one, The Price of Fame, and Fresh as I'm Is, or As Him Is, whatever, and Face Off, Girlfriend. But after that, where's he gone? Does he have a record deal anymore? God knows. He had New Jack City or Volume 2 or whatever, something like that. But that hasn't charted very well. No singles have charted the top 40. Don't think any singles chart at all. Who else have we got? We have Lloyd. Didn't think I'll be saying Lloyd. I didn't think I'll be mentioning Lloyd, but Lloyd had lots of hair. I think he's not fully Afro-Caribbean. I think there's some Red Indian in him. American Indian in him, I think. Now, he had hair, and he, in some ways, famously relaxed it all and started to do this with it on the video for his single "Girls Around the World." That was very long, impressive for a man actually. Well, for a man with Afro texture for hair. Then he cut it off this year and he showed off some pictures with it on the internet somewhere, and he had a video with his haircut called "Lay It Down," the first single of his new album, King of Hearts or something like that. Should show some promise, but if he had his hair, I think it would be a hit right now. But it's not. Who else do we have who's cut their hair? R. Kelly. Most of you know R. Kelly. Most of you would have heard of R. Kelly. Now, he cut his hair last year as well, in 2010, I believe. And he released an album with a haircut called Untitled. It wasn't that bad, but his album, let's just put it this way, it hasn't been in the top 40. He hasn't been in the top 40 at all. Number 1 was the last time we saw him on the charts, and that was at number 59 with Kerry Hilson. Should have been a hit. Wasn't a bad single, but it just didn't chart. Well, even when he did have hair, which was growing and growing and growing, since some would say he was having a sales decline, which was steady. A sales decline, nevertheless. Still cut his hair though.